got a little lost here. This is a jump cut.
Okay, I wasn't ready for that. It kind of scared me. I don't know what was that?
I don't know.
No accent. All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Jump Cut. I am Hellboy 1, sitting with Hellboy 2.
Aw, honey. That's the nice thing anyone ever said to me.
Thank you. Yes, this is basically a show where we...
Whoa, hello.
Yeah. This is basically a show where we talk about movies, TV, and all around geek culture. Today we'll be talking about the movie Hellboy versus the reboot of the movie Hellboy. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
And we also discussed this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about movie reboots. When is it too soon for a reboot?
I don't think anyone was asking for a reboot. Everyone was asking for a sequel.
All right. But before we get into that, let's go into our new segment called Geek News.
What, never heard of her?
No? Never? Okay.
Is she nice?
She's pretty. First things first, Disney Plus announced their launch date. It's November 12th. It'll be $7 per month or $70 for the year, which is way cheaper than Netflix. It'll also include 18 Pixar films, 13 animated vaulted classics, all the Star Wars films, all the Marvel films, and 660 episodes of The Simpsons.
I just realized how much I hate this pop vinyl. It says Black Panther, but he's gold. It's a gold panther. This is fake news.
All right, I still got some more stuff on this. So R-rated movies such as Deadpool and Logan will go to Hulu. They've also announced the new Star Wars series, The Mandalorian.
Okay.
No?
Any news on that?
Well, The Mandalorian basically is about Boba Fett hunters. They're basically about how these bounty hunters are going after the scum of Star Wars.
Scum of Star Wars. That sounds like a good time.
Like the Jabba the Hutts, all those like traders and stuff like that. No? Not interested?
No.
You're not a Star Wars guy, are you?
I am a Star Wars guy, but it's just like we were promised a Boba Fett movie, so I'm looking to see where that's going.
I don't think there's going to be a Boba Fett movie.
I think they confirmed that it was going to be one.
All right. Well, this is by Jon Favreau, and he hasn't failed yet.
Well, I'll wait and see, because Star Wars Rebels is going to be really promising, but, we know how that went.
Also, they announced the Sandlot TV show.
I'm mixed on that too. The movie, there's two of them, right?
There's two of them, yes.
The first one was really cool. The second one was
The second one was a straight to video like thing.
Yeah, just like it has opportunity. I don't know. I've seen like really terrible things get created into something amazing.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, that's about it for that. But in talks with that, we also saw
That's for Disney Plus?
Yeah.
$7.99.
No, but we also saw the trailer for Star Wars: The Rise of the Skywalkers.
The Emperor's New Groove.
How did you feel about that?
Such a stupid name. I'm sorry. We have like, I get what they're doing for the end of the trilogies. You have like Return of the Jedi, and then you have Rise of Rise of Skywalkers. No, then there's the other one, which is Return of the Sith.
Return of the Sith, yeah.
Or is it Revenge?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge, yeah. So. It's the ROTS. Hey, what's your favorite Star Wars? Oh, ROTS.
Honestly, like, I've been off of Star Wars for a while. After episode 8, it was.
I liked 8.
You did?
Yeah.
Didn't really care for it.
A lot of people hated it. I could see why they hated it, and I can view that objectively. I'm like, I can look at 8 and say, man, this was not good about 8. Like the whole arc where they spent it in like the casino like area.
Well, my issue with 8 kind of got fixed in the trailer for 9. Which I felt like there was a lot of characters that were being left out.
Yeah.
If you're gonna bring back Han Solo, you're gonna bring back Leia, you're gonna bring back all these people. Where is Lando Calrissian?
He was in Solo. That's the only thing we saw of him.
No,
recently.
but I'm saying the old version. Yeah. That was my issue. I'm like, I wanted Lando to be who Benicio del Toro was.
And this movie is going to be done by JJ, right?
This is JJ.
So I think JJ, when he made 7, he didn't sign up for the trilogy because he was scared it was going to flop.
Right.
Because of the prequels. And then you have, who's a new director after him?
I don't remember that guy.
The director
it's okay.
8 took all of his build-up, destroyed it, and now JJ has to pick up the pieces from that.
Exactly, which they're actually retconning Rey's background.
Yeah.
So you remember what they said in 8? They were talking about how her parents were nobodies.
Came from nothing. Yeah.
She came from nothing. Her parents weren't anything special.
That's an easy fix, though.
So
I didn't mind that, though. I didn't mind just like a completely normal person,
right,
like with no background, is able to harness the Force. And
so here's the rumor.
What's the rumor?
The rumor is, it's been rumored that Rey is actually a twin. Her brother is Kylo Ren, and they're both Skywalker children.
What I was guessing is that Kylo Ren was the Skywalker that was going to be rising. Maybe just elevating from a chair, or like, I don't know.
No. Basically what's happening is they're saying that Luke had a wife, and I don't know exactly what happened to that wife. Did he milk her
like he milked that slug thing?
I don't know. I don't know actually what happened to that wife, but she gave birth to 2 children, just like how, I forgot her name, I can't think of it, Natalie Portman had given birth to both Luke and Leia.
Yeah. Man, I can't believe I forgot her name too. Anyway, Star Wars looks cool. I can't say anything until I see it because I've been burned so many times, and I say that a lot on the show. But that's not because I'm like super pessimistic. Even though I was just telling Nigel beforehand, I'm like a nihilist with the Avengers.
Right.
But it's a lot of these things that I get excited about completely let me down.
Okay.
And it kind of left me emotionally jaded to pop culture. You know,
I'm not jaded to pop culture. I give everything like, a grain of salt. I'm like, all right, let me see if you're going to disappoint me. If you're going to disappoint me, then I'm just not going to watch it anymore. That's it.
Yeah.
Next up, geek news. Swamp Thing. Yeah. So the Swamp Thing TV show for the DC streaming service was reportedly shut down. Yeah, they cut the season short. It was supposed to be 13 episodes. They cut it to 10, and now
it might be better because less filler.
No, they ended it to episode 6.
Might be better because less filler. There were 6 good episodes of Punisher season 2.
But see, here's the thing. WB said, Warner Brothers, they said they wanted to evaluate the DC Universe streaming platform, meaning that it's not just this show, it's all of their shows. So they might even scrap the DC Universe altogether. I'm I'm talking about the streaming service, not the DC Universe.
Yeah, no, I was just, jeez.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to say that, if you're going to say WB wanted to evaluate the DC Universe.
So are Warner Brothers and Disney going to go toe-to-toe? Because Disney kind of is going to stomp them.
Disney's going to stomp them.
Yeah. Disney's kind of become a Goliath, and I really don't like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't expect Disney. I always expect Disney to stay in the realm, but like they have so much stuff coming from other areas, you know?
Yeah.
It used to be like the most hardcore thing Disney really had was like Edward Scissorhands. Is that Disney property? No, it's
it's not.
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd is, yes.
So Sweeney Todd was like the darkest, but they also had like Narnia, which is like more preteen or like young adult oriented, and that was like kind of the darkest it went. But now they have like Avengers, and like Marvel, which gets really, really dark.
Right.
Like you have the Punisher, and they have like Daredevil, which I saw.
But they're also on Netflix.
Yeah, but Disney still owns it. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
I mean, yes, they own it.
And now Disney are bringing it all under to a universal umbrella. I'm curious how Disney's going to alter their brand image for that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Disney's going to alter the brand image because
they're going to alter the shows that they have.
Well, no. What the issue is that they have 60% stock in Hulu. Mm-hmm. So they're the majority shareholder in Hulu. Mm-hmm. So now what they're going to do is
they're going to take Runaways.
They're going to anything that's rated R or like doesn't fit their Disney mold is probably going to go to Hulu.
I like that. Hulu's where I watch my horror movies.
Yeah. So, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But
it's okay. Hulu's underrated. I like it.
I love Hulu. But I think this DC Universe streaming platform is doomed. I don't think anybody's actually watching it. I just canceled my subscription the other day.
To the Disney?
No, DC.
Oh, to DC.
Yeah.
I never had a subscription. I did the 7-day trial to watch all of Titans in one go.
Yeah, no, I kept it for Doom Patrol, and I like Doom Patrol. Don't get me wrong.
Which we're going to review when the season wraps up.
Yeah, I like Doom Patrol. I still try to keep up, but it's just not worth it for me.
You can get individual episodes. You can't. It's not worth $20 a month for it.
It's not $20. I think it's like $8 or something like that.
It's $8? I thought it was much more than that.
No, it's not $20.
No, still, it's not worth it.
Yeah, how many times am I going to watch Rise of the Phantasm?
Yeah, like if they get more exclusive content. I like how they have comics on it and stuff. That's cool.
That's cool, but it's not accessible to anything else besides your phone or like a Roku player.
But if the DC site, because one thing that's lacking is Comixology. I don't know if you know that app.
Okay,
it's like the biggest comic app available on mobile phones.
Okay,
what used to be great is I have a Surface Pro 4, which is like a convertible laptop. And used to be able to read comics on it, and it was so great. And then they stopped supporting it. If DC did proper support for Windows devices like that, I would get a subscription right away.
Okay.
Because DC has some really cool stuff. Anyway.
So next thing up, Netflix. They announced that The Witcher will be premiering late 2019. This is after Q3, which holds all of Netflix's...
Was it delayed, or is it just...
No, it's not delayed. It's just gonna air toward the end, because what happens I think we're in Q2 now of Netflix. Q3 is when all the moneymakers come out. So Stranger Things, the Orange is New Black, all that other stuff is coming out.
In the beginning of Q3 too.
Yeah.
And look forward to some new news about Stranger Things on the show soon.
Oh yeah.
So
can I even talk about it?
Not yet.
So it's gonna come out in Q4 with the new Irishman thing that's coming out.
Sorry, I'm gonna give a summary to this.
Sure.
All right, Josh, we're about to actually go to that right after we finish Geek News, so stay tuned.
Yeah. So next thing up, PS5. The specs have been come out for PS5. We don't know exactly.
I had a debate with someone on the internet about this thing too.
What was it?
I'm a PC. I'm like a computer geek, I guess. I build computers, and when I was looking at the specs for it, they use what's called, so with PC, like the PlayStation versus Xbox of the PC world is Intel versus AMD.
Okay.
Or you have AMD versus Nvidia, depending what parts. But they're using an Nvidia or an AMD based processor.
Was it the Ryzen one or
Ryzen Generation 3?
Okay.
And people are saying, "Oh, it's going to be so good." Like, they're not going to use an even medium spec Ryzen for their PS5. They're going to under spec it like they did for the PlayStation 4.
Okay.
They're going to do a mid generation upgrade, and they're promising these big things. Like they promised 4K gaming for PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
Barely achievable.
Well, yeah, they're upscaling.
Yeah, and I think there's a handful of games running natively in 4K on it.
There's about 20, I think.
Yeah, so, and most of them are indie titles. So when you're talking about like native running 4K games and they're barely hitting 30 frames on that like powerful hardware, now they're saying they're going to do 8K?
Yeah.
I don't see that happening, man.
They said they're going to do 8K. They said it's going to be on an SSD drive.
Makes it more expensive, and which also means there's going to be smaller internal storage. If it's on a solid state drive, they're probably going to give you like 200 gigs.
So they're also making it physical. So it's going to have physical copies. You're still going to be able to put physical copies.
Yeah, that's kind of expected.
But Microsoft is now moving in a different realm where they're doing diskless consoles.
I don't mind that.
So, yeah.
As long as if you got banned, you could transfer your games over to a new account.
The only thing that I'm excited about is the backwards compatibility.
Yeah, they said they wanted to go all the way to PS1.
I heard just PS4.
I heard somewhere that they wanted to go all the way back to PS1.
If they could, I'd love that.
This is from a reliable source of ours, but from what they're having issues with the processor,
right?
Which is also why I don't think it's a really great Ryzen processor, because you can't just like run the games on the console. You know, they gotta like build a framework for it to be emulated through,
right?
And within that framework is a game running. So when you're running a game within that framework, there's going to be significant frame drops, and it's just going to not run as smoothly until they optimize it.
Okay.
So that's what it seems like.
But here's my issue with all that is I get that. I understand that completely. But they have this thing called PS Now, which they are playing older titles through that. So you mean to tell me that you can do that,
but
you can't
streaming from pre-built systems in there.
Okay.
Like, because think about it like this. They built a bunch of computers, really powerful computers, and they're streaming that off of that power, you know?
Okay.
So you're not like downloading the games. And when I first used PS Now, it was garbage.
It's better now.
There was like a whole second delay.
I remember that.
I remember trying to play Dead Island, the second one.
I tried to play Sonic Generations.
Oh, that's even worse, man.
Yeah, I felt it. Anyway, more Sony news. Sony is now limiting sexually explicit content.
Me and Nigel also had a conversation about this.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. So basically,
I believe it was pertaining to the Me Too movement.
It's to the Me Too movement. So here it is in my notes. Basically, they're saying that Sony doesn't want to be associated with game content that could depict women in a demeaning way.
And as Nigel said, no more prostitutes or strippers in GTA.
Hey, that's the best part of GTA. The strippers and the prostitutes.
No,
I don't know what you do when you first play GTA. But when I first played GTA,
I do the tutorial mission. I steal a bike.
Listen, I want to know exactly what's going on with the strippers and the prostitutes, especially when you play Grand Theft Auto 5 and the thing is right there.
Yeah, that does something.
You know,
no, what I was thinking about is like, because Australia has heavily censored games. That's just like I think it's part of like their laws. They can't have like too much violence. Like when Saints Row 4 was announced and released, they had to heavily cut out a lot of the violence and weapons because they couldn't like give it on the systems.
Okay.
And this is just Sony doing this. It's not like a law. So Microsoft and like PC platforms like Epic and Steam are exempt from this.
But how many games have nudity and sexual content in
My
them?
concern is that they're censoring art. Video games are art.
But what I'm saying is, like, how many games do you know of that there's nudity in?
Red Dead Redemption is a big one.
Okay.
Mainly Rockstar games have a lot of it.
It's all the Rockstar games.
But Rockstar is also a big money maker for Sony, which is another reason why I think this generation is going to go back to Xbox.
You never know.
That's what I'm leaning towards.
What besides Rockstar? That's what I'm saying. Like when I heard this, I'm like, okay, I understand what you're saying. However, the only games that I know that have nudity in them are the Rockstar games.
Yeah.
Everything else, nobody else is doing that.
I mean, there's other people doing it. It exists elsewhere. It's just that Rockstar is the most popular in doing it, and they're doing it with the biggest budget.
But that's what I'm saying. That's a contender. There's nobody else that's a contender to, like, what, Take-Two? Who else?
I just think that Sony's they're digging their own grave with that, just because. I get they're doing it for their shareholders, more than likely. That's why they're doing it.
I understand that completely.
But you can't piss off your clients that are making you a lot of your money, you know?
Right. But the only, like I said, the only game that is, and as I said before, is depicting women in a certain way is Grand Theft Auto. That's the only game I can think of.
There's more, but anyway, let's go into the next thing. Basically, I don't like that they're trying to censor. They're trying to censor art. That's where I'm sitting with this. If it's treating women like, if it's doing terrible things, I get it.
Right.
But like, if it's just showing like some nudity that's there done with the consent of like the models, right? You know, it's like what's bad about that?
I mean, this is why we have like. We have labels and we have like rating systems.
But the thing is, though, is what I said to you. The ESRB doesn't have it on there because the ESRB understands. They just say nudity and that's it. Okay. They don't just say has woman or has women being abused or naked women or whatever. And like this goes to like the UK. I think it was just passed where you need to get, if you're under 18, or if you're 18 or older, to prove it, you have to get a pornography pass to access pornography sites. Yeah. So
that's a little bit more than what we want to handle. We just started talking about Ryzen's and all this other geek stuff. Now we're going to talk about like nudity laws. Now I'm good.
All right. Yeah.
Last thing. Endgame spoilers.
Yes. Full disclosure. No spoilers.
All right.
We're not spoiling anything.
We're not spoiling it.
I know the spoilers. I took a hit for you guys. Don't worry. I don't mind it because
I didn't watch it. I'm not trying to.
It was so on 4chan there were leaks of on the CO thread, I think it's called, cartoon and comics. On that thread, there were people were leaking it. It got to the point where there's a sticky made on the thread saying that you can't talk about leaks. I remember put spoiler tags.
Okay.
And actual images from the movie were being leaked. Now, I'm not going to say the leak, but what I am going to say like about the leak is that I don't like it. It's lazy. It's a lazy way out. And what Nigel was talking about when me and Nigel went on our little riff on Mark's show last week.
Okay.
Which is coming up next. Stay tuned for 22 Now.
But they don't know what we're yelling about. We'll probably save that for next week.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that the Nigel was saying you can't review half the movie, but if this is the ending and this is being shown from what I've seen, I don't like it.
You haven't seen everything though. That's the only
That's
thing.
what I'm saying. That's why.
Because this could be just like stuff that was left on the cutting room floor.
No. This is like actual footage from the movie. But I'm saying like
they could change this. They still have a week.
They can't. It's already shipped. But that's why that's why I prefaced it with saying that if it is how I saw it, and if it is the legitimate way they're going out, it's lazy. Get Ant-Man inside of Thanos. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
All right.
So what's up next? Now we're going to the reviews?
We're going to the reviews.
So we watched Hellboy 1 and we watched the Hellboy 1 reboot.
All right, well, you watched the reboot. I watched 1.
So let's start with Hellboy 1. You want to give it a start?
All right. This is what I surmised about Hellboy. I've never seen the original Hellboy before this week. What I surmised was this. In World War II, some crazy Nazi was trying to open up another dimension. And he ended up being foiled, and all of a sudden this red ape, as they called him, came out, and they named him Hellboy. And then they started getting more of these crazy characters, or these crazy demonic characters. Then they started what's the name of the thing again? The I'm
lost.
It's kind of like the dark version of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like to me. I watched this now with my 2019 eyes and not my 2004 eyes.
I thought it looked good still. So
do you think so?
I don't think it looks good by modern standards, but I think it holds up well enough. There are like some things for like for was it like the assassin where his eyes were like where he didn't have eyelids. That was clearly CG, but
all of it was bad CG. But I get it. It was 2004.
It's Guillermo del Toro, so it's still good to look at. The camera angles were cool and everything.
Yeah, I get it.
And it wasn't like as horror focused as I was expecting it to be.
Okay.
But it was dark. It was just a fun way to look at it. The movie wasn't deep. It's an anti-hero movie.
What's that guy's name? Abraham?
Yeah.
Abraham looks like the thing from Shape of Water. It doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you got.
I don't know. When I watched the original Hellboy, I got a lot of Marvel things coming to me. I got a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff happening.
I believe it came out before Iron Man 1.
It came out way before Iron Man 1. 2008.
2008.
Yeah. So it came out way before Iron Man 1. So I got a lot of stuff in it for me, and to be honest, it didn't really hold my interest. And I think that's why I never watched it in the beginning.
When I watched Hellboy initially, I was really young when I saw it. I just remember I remember watching it and thinking about, oh great, it's just like a red guy running around just doing things. I never really thought anything of it.
Right.
Watching it again, I enjoyed it more. There's layers to it you can peel back and look into. But overall, the movie was fun. I can see why it has a cult following. I'm not part of it.
Do you feel like a nostalgia factor for you, when you watch it, or no?
I feel a little bit of the factor when I see the character himself.
Okay.
But not from watching it,
Yeah, it does nothing to me. I'd rather be watching Meteor Man or Blank Man. I don't know if you know who those guys are.
Nope. Being honest.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that it's worth watching. It's definitely entertaining. It's on Netflix, so you have no really excuse with that. And it's just something charming about it. I like watching stuff from that era and try to think about it from that time. I don't think from that time people thought it was amazing either. But look at Harry Potter. Harry Potter has some really terrible CG back in the day.
Yeah, but if you're not used to it, that's the thing. If you're not used to, because we have this conversation all the time when I say that, hey, listen, CG wasn't what it was 20 years ago. CG has come up.
But even I was watching Infinity War, and one thing I noticed is that Thanos looked way more CG to me this time around. He looked like he was just placed in the frame. He didn't look like he was genuinely there. And that's the theme I've been noticing recently. My eyes have been much more sensitive to computer generated stuff.
I mean, yes, but you also have to look at those old Spider-Man movies and say, hey, this was even worse.
Oh yeah, like how Spider-Man is a mannequin swinging with Mary Jane Watson with her hair blowing in the wrong direction according to the wind.
Yeah,
that was something. I didn't like the Raimi movies. You're fueled with nostalgia if you like it. I'm sorry.
Honestly, I like the movies, but it's only because I didn't think there was going to be another a Spider-Man movie. You got to understand,
yeah, but now we have Far From Home coming out.
Yeah, now you have Far From Home, but
and we got John Wick 3 coming out.
What does that have to do with anything?
I'm just excited about movies.
But like I said, I remember when the first Spider-Man came out, and I was just like, it's not like the cartoon.
Yeah.
I wanted exactly what I got from the cartoon. I did not like this Tobey Maguire guy. Mm-hmm. I was like, what is going on? But then I watched it, and I kind of liked it, and I was on board for at least 3 movies until they kept rebooting it.
The 4 seemed like it would have been interesting if it went the way that was planned. Oh well, we'll never know.
So to wrap up Hellboy 1.
I enjoyed it. I think it's worth the watch. I like it's really dark. It's really gray, and like the only thing really with color is Hellboy. It's like it has a lot of bluish tints to it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you noticed a lot of that.
A ton of it.
Yeah, but like it was a lot. It was like kind of like Dark Knight style cinematography, which is a color palette.
It was weird to me. Selma Blair and Hellboy's relationship was weird to me.
And one thing I did like about the movie is it did have heart. Like, okay, you had the point. There's a scene where Hellboy's looking at the love interest, and she's with another guy, and he's just standing on a rooftop with a kid, and the kid's kind of being like his childish conscience in that regard, and he just throws a rock at the guy's head that she's sitting with, and you just see that's like his little piece of like childishness, his immaturity coming out.
Well, he's also very vain.
I mean, yeah. One thing I also really like is just watching the character. There's something just about him like sanding down his horns and stuff.
Yeah,
it looks like a guy that didn't want to be in that position, but is in that position. Mm-hmm. And the only thing he really has for it is just strength, and then a hand made of rocks.
Why is one hand bigger than the other? I just want to know.
He has some exercise.
All right, cool. All right, so that's it for...
He got his pass.
That's it for Hellboy 1. You watched Hellboy 2.
I did not. I didn't get the chance to.
Oh, well.
Isn't that great? I heard Hellboy 2 was weaker, so...
Okay, well, that's my
feeling
it for the jump cut.
Then we have the new Hellboy. the new Hellboy, which I did see.
Okay,
because there's a Hellboy 2, that's why.
No, I said Hellboy reboot, didn't I?
They said Hellboy 2.
Oh, sorry.
Because I did not watch Hellboy 2. I watched the reboot.
Yeah.
And the reboot, first I want to say, who's the guy that played the sheriff in Stranger Things?
David Harbour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Really good casting.
Okay.
I thought that he was the best part about the movie. Watching the movie, like from the sorry, my concentration broke.
That's okay.
Watching the movie from from the perspective of someone who was very unbiased, because I watched that before I watched the original.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So when I sat through the movie, you have You have David Harbour, who again is like out of the whole Nazi thing, comes out and then goes into the world, and just watching the movie about 20 minutes in, I just lost interest. Like, I'm watching, like, I don't care what's happening. And then they're going, like, all nuts and everything. And I'm watching the movie at, like, 12:30 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just sitting through it. I'm like, okay, all right, this is happening. Now this is happening. All right, I see the flow of events. Doesn't really make sense to me. There's one scene that I only liked because of the music. They played, They played Psycho by Muse.
Okay.
Followed by a track off Royal Blood's first album. I can't remember. I think it was Figure It Out or Loose Change. Both killer songs. But they were playing that, and I was more focused on the music than the scene. And I was more focused on like singing along to the music in the theater, and like everyone else was just looking at me like, what's wrong?
There were people in your theater?
Yeah. There's 6 people total.
Okay.
Including me and my 2 guests.
Okay.
But but watching the movie, it's a progression of Hellboy. It's still that same kind of that anti-hero feel, but just going through the movie as I'm watching it, I'm just caring less and less and less. The computer generated graphics are there. Some of them look really bad, but like that's probably why I didn't mind the original.
Okay.
Because comparison, I think actually might have looked better because it's more tastefully done.
Well, I wanted to watch the new one first and then watch the
That's what I did.
Oh, see, there you go.
And that's why I feel like I prefer the original one. Looked better to me.
Gotcha.
And also the movie, the color palette's better. There's a lot of greens in it, a lot of lush colors going on, but there's nothing about it, like cinematography wise, that really stood out to me. A lot of just very basic shots. Hellboy's fight scenes weren't really that interesting, and just thinking about the movie, I'm thinking about how much I preferred the original Guillermo del Toro Hellboy, which is kind of hard to pick up a mantle from a legendary director like Guillermo del Toro, who did incredible things like Almost Silent Hills.
He did Mimic. He also did Blade 2. You gotta give him some other stuff.
No, I'm saying no, but
Shape of Water.
Silent Hills would have been like incredible. That's why I'm really upset about that being canceled. But Guillermo del Toro, and I also saw Crimson Peak, which is really good.
I didn't see that.
But that was like gorgeous to look at. But point being that they took an approach where if it ain't broke, let's fix it. You know?
But you know what's sad? Like I actually feel the same way about Hellboy. One that you feel about Hellboy the reboot.
But if you watch Hellboy the reboot, you feel it amplified.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Is that Hellboy 1, as I stated in my wrap-up, I didn't think was amazing, but I still enjoyed it.
Okay.
And the new Hellboy movie is a movie that you can forget in like a few days, you know? Like that's how I feel about the Mission Impossible movies. I could watch it.
Let's dive into Mission Impossible now.
This is just brief for me, but
okay.
I watched Rogue Nation, forgot I even saw it about 2 days later.
Okay.
I watched the Mission Impossible Fallout. I watched that months after it came out.
Okay.
And that's the newest one.
Right.
And it sounds like you forgot it too. I forgot.
I fell asleep.
I watched it. Everyone's praising
Snoring.
Everyone's praising it. And I barely remember. Like I remember that I saw it, but it's just forgettable to me. I remember more of that movie than I did of Rogue Nation. I remember one scene of Rogue Nation. But sitting through Hellboy, I got that kind of feeling, you know? Like I saw the movie, I kind of forget I saw it until people bring it up to me that I did see the movie or what I thought of the movie. And someone even asked me at school, they said, what would I rate on a scale of 1 to 10 because they didn't want spoilers.
Right.
And I don't do that. I don't think that ratings are relevant because I think a lot of numbers are arbitrary because like something could be like a 9 and something else could be a 9 and I could prefer something else for like a lot of other reasons.
Okay.
And people will say, but they're equal to you. It just doesn't work that way, you know?
I mean, it depends on what category you're rating it.
But in general, like overall scores.
Yeah, overall scores is hard to like.
Because then people ignore what you're saying and they jump right to the rating.
Right.
And they just assume that. That's why I don't like doing ratings. But I said to them, like, if I had to rate the movie, because I didn't want to get into that in the middle of school, because that would just be like a really, Steve thing to do. Yeah. But if I got into that, it was, I'd say it's like maybe a high 4 out of 10.
That's funny because IGN gave it a 4.8.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't watch IGN, so there you go.
Yeah. It was like a 4.8 or 4.5, something low.
But that's what I would give it because for me, if I considered 5 and 6 like average and 6 being slightly above average. And this movie I felt was below average, and below 5 is usually forgettables unless something's so like offensively bad. But the thing with this movie is it's not terrible, and that's what pissed me off so much because it's not great, it's not terrible. If it's great or terrible, you can have fun with it because if it's terrible, you can make fun of it. If it's great, you could enjoy it. It's mediocre, and there's nothing worse than sitting through 2 hours of a mediocre film.
Plus the fact that we just saw Shazam like the week before,
which is so much fun
for
the parts that were Shazam.
And now we have Hellboy, which is like
it could have been so much fun.
It could have been fun,
and I was hoping it would be fun. And I usually
was it even funny?
A couple jokes landed.
Okay.
But with Del Toro's, the jokes that he put in did land.
Okay.
The few jokes that I don't know if you laughed at it at all, but
I didn't watch it.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
You're talking about the first one? No, it didn't make me laugh.
There's a couple of jokes in there. I'm like, huh, like that. But
yeah, it didn't.
The new one that I'm watching, I laughed more at like the technical flaws in it. So overall, just talking about the movie and sitting on what I think about it, it's hard for me to really say that I really loved it or hated it. When you're looking at something that's 2 hours long, loaded with filler, expanded to the brim of just living to the trend of 2 hours movies, which I'm fine with, and it's rated R, which I'm also fine with. Did not need to be rated R though, because they cursed so much in the narrative trying to be funny, and they set that narrative in the beginning. They say we want it to be funny. And then in the beginning, they show the origin of the villain. And when they're bringing her back later in the movie, I didn't know she was a villain. I'm watching the movie. I'm like, she seemed nice. She seemed like she was just betrayed.
And that's why it should be rated R?
And then they're showing like gore and stuff, but nothing really. It could have been PG-13 is what I'm trying to say. The cursing didn't add to it at all.
It's because Sony got its hands on it.
Yeah.
And didn't want to demean anybody.
But look,
callback.
It's just looking at the villain. Even if the villain is that unforgettable to you, like there's some stuff in it that I liked that other people hated. Like when I'm watching it, when I was watching, yeah, Justin, you can look. You might like it more than I do. I'm pretty cynical, but looking at, there's this one scene that I really liked where there's this character, and the character had this like had this, I want to say like an apparition come out of the character's mouth, and it looked horrific, and I loved it because it was just so like gross and great at the same time, and the apparition emulated someone who existed.
Nah, that doesn't do anything for me.
But the design was really cool to me. And a lot of people were grossed out by it. They thought like it could have been like more ghostly or whatever. I don't know. It's whatever.
No, I'm with you. Like if it's in the middle, I don't want to watch it. It has to either really, really suck or really, really be great.
I'm fine with something that's just good and fun, you know?
Good and fun is cool too. But like if it's in the middle where like I can't say it's good or bad.
Yeah. It's just overall, when I'm thinking even about the villain, and the villain was actually pretty memorable to me.
Okay.
But her motivations made sense. And even then, like in the beginning, they're emphasizing red like Del Toro did in his movie. It was black, white with just red being blood. And I liked what they did with the villain. I just don't like that they didn't establish it was a villain.
Who else is in this movie?
Like big names?
Hey, any other names? No
one huge that I saw.
All right.
Unless I'm not remembering it. But yeah, I mean, you're going to Hellboy. If you're looking to have a fun time with no expectations, you might still be let down. Is what I'm trying to say. You might want to wait, see what other people think about it, see what your friends think.
True.
But like, I'm not a critic. I'm just a guy who likes to watch movies.
All right,
that's what it comes down to.
All right.
So anyway, that was my thoughts on Hellboy.
So now we're up to the segment of what we're watching.
Yes, I forgot about that. I saw The Tick.
Tell them about The Tick, man.
The Tick. Power Rangers meets superhero. It reminded me of Power Rangers meets what was it, the movie Dragonfly?
Okay.
Or Drake Bell? Was that the one?
Yes.
That was a weird movie.
That was the name of his character. It was the superhero movie.
The superhero movie.
Because Kevin Hart's in that movie too.
Oh well, that's what it felt like. It felt like a crossover between those two.
Okay.
And sitting through the show, it didn't do anything for me. Wasn't invested in any of the characters. I didn't care about the character developments. I didn't care about what would happen. It was just very self-aware, very like cheesy show.
This was The Tick season 2?
1 and 2.
1 and 2. So the original Tick was a show on Comedy Central that failed, I think, 1993. Then they made a cartoon out of it. Mm-hmm. And it was like 2-3 seasons, and then they kept basically this is a show that they've been rebooting like over and over and over again until I've never been a fan. Yeah. So then when you said you're watching it, I was like, oh boy.
It just seemed like something fun. That's what I wanted. Yeah. It was a show I was watching while doing homework. Justin, I also didn't like The Last Jedi.
See, Justin used to like
I did like The Last Jedi. I apologize.
Justin used to like the Tick cartoon.
So yeah, I don't know. You might align with my views.
Justin, I wasn't a fan of that cartoon, man. I'm sorry, it was weird to me.
It was fun. There was like one thing about it that I thought was humorous, but I never laughed at it. Mm-hmm. Where one of the impending villains in the arc is called the VLM, or the Very Large Man, which is just an average dude sized up.
Right.
But you know, aside from that, I watched The Tick, and I just watched more informational videos. I was watching that show Green Wing a little bit more. Did nothing for me. Mm-hmm. But that's it, I guess. I watched Scream 1 again because I enjoyed it.
Okay. What am I watching? Yes. So I'm still watching Doom Patrol. It's still as exciting as it was the first go round. I still find stuff that's fun with it. It's a delight. Hopefully toward the end of the season we'll probably start talking more about it. But I've been watching Doom Patrol. Another thing that I've been watching, I've actually been rewatching, is a documentary.
Anya Marina, Independent Woman.
Oh, if you haven't seen Anya Marina, Independent Woman, it has over 20,000 views.
That's a lot of
on YouTube right now. But anyway, I'm watching this documentary called Electric Boogaloo. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Is it about like the what movie was that?
This is about Canon Films.
Oh, okay. So I was referring to the actual Electric Boogaloo.
Here's the thing. So I've watched this documentary many times before, and I'm always excited about it because it's about Canon Films. Canon Films was a film company back in the late 70s, early 80s that was known for making horrible movies, but they would make them so fast and so quick that everybody was all on board for it. No Game of Thrones or Intro to Badlands. All right, we could talk about Game of Thrones and Intro to Badlands. Just give us a second.
I don't watch Game of Thrones or Into the Badlands. I'll catch up. I'll do it for the show.
Well, Justin, how about this? Justin, next week we will talk about Game of Thrones. We just didn't want to spoil it because we're not sure everybody watched it yet.
I didn't watch anything past like season 2, episode 3.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything on Game of Thrones. So I'm watching this documentary called Electric Boogaloo, which is about Canon Films. It's 2 Israeli guys came to America to make American films, and they kept making bad movie after bad movie after bad movie. But they would pitch the poster to the movie. They always had great directors. They always had not really great, but known names doing their movies, and it would always go to shit. Like, it always happens. So basically, they've worked with. Hear me out. They worked with. They're responsible for Chuck Norris. They're responsible for all of the Death Wish movies. They're responsible for Breaking 1 and Breaking 2, Electric Boogaloo, which the name came from this. They're also responsible for Superman 4, Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. They've also done things with Patrick Stewart and like Susan Sarandon and a lot
Patrick
of names.
Stewart, I thought, was made from doing Shakespearean stuff.
No, he did a movie with them called Life Force, which is horrible, but it has a lot of gratuitous nudity.
But is it horrible in a good way?
It's all of these are campy and horrible in a good way. They're responsible for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Are they meant to be like good, like horrible but like fun, or are they meant to be like actually entertaining?
These guys would use the budget for one movie and make 3.
Okay.
So if you ever looked at it,
they're resourceful.
Yes, they did make Breaking. They made Breaking 1 and Breaking 2 were in the same year, Justin. Look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, look it up. Breaking 1 came out in early 84, and Breaking 2 came out in late 84.
All right, so overall, quick summary of the show, of the documentary.
Honestly, it's just insane to see how many bad movies people make and how they still kept their name. Because as much as they were making these bad movies, for every bad movie something hit, but as much movies as they made, they started working more and more with MGM, and that's why. So you look at the early part of them and the latter part of them, where they went from this independent film company to now they're working with MGM. They're doing Superman 4. Like, that's the biggest thing. Masters of the Universe. I can go on. Wow. They made Dolph Lundgren a household name.
Well, I'll give it a watch, and we can maybe talk about it next week.
I was looking forward to give to you because I really like it. The science behind it about these guys just keep making movies. It's ridiculous.
All right. Well, I'll give it a go.
All right.
Well, thanks so much for tuning into the Jump Cut. I hope I didn't ruin your impressions of Hellboy. And I hope that my perspective on Avengers didn't soil you.
I hope you like the show, everybody.
And I hope you like the show. I'm Nigel. This is Steve.
Hey.
How are you doing? We're going down. Nah. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night, everyone. Stay tuned for 22 Now. I'm a show host.